Hello everyone, and welcome to the event. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for joining us. We have a action-packed half an hour. My name is Simon Williams, and I'm lucky enough to be the CEO of NTT Data, and Michele is Head of Customer Experience, and he will be taking us through the content today. We're going to be talking about kind of managing the return to work. And first of all, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us, and hope that you have all been able to stay safe at this time. It's a difficult period. It's an interesting period. I will try not to use all of the kind of commonly used phrases like accelerating the future and the new normal and all that kind of stuff. Today we are going to talk very much around the return to work. As lockdown is gradually eased, most companies are already doing this, or if they're not already doing it, then they certainly are planning to do it. We've had massively different experiences, and people experience it based on their own background, their own worries, their own hopes, their own fears. And Michele will take you through some of that thinking. And people have had different experiences working from home. Some people have been excited about it, some people have enjoyed it, some people are desperate to get back in to a face-to-face environment. Others are kind of resisting it and really want to kind of, either they're worried about the commute, or they're worried about the risks, or actually they just like working from home and maybe spending a bit more time with the family and not commuting. All we know is we're all going through it, and that the workplace won't be the same again. We've had a whole bunch of questions from our clients, we've had a whole bunch of questions from our employees, questions, concerns, and we don't have the answer to them all. But we're working with our team, working with our clients around that, and it's recognised that we've got to be flexible, and we've got to be prepared to learn, and keep learning. And it's very much the agile view of, you've got this kind of minimal viable product, and whatever, if there's a second kind of challenge that we face, that we can work against that. So many employees do feel scared. They do feel anxious about the increased risk of infection. They might be worried about, say, commuting, public transport, or they might have special circumstances which have created kind of additional challenges for them. Many will be asking to stay at home, or asking for altered work hours, or avoiding peak time travel. At the same time, of the people thinking about things, the organizations are defining this new normal, defining this new way of working, and making it safe for their employees. How can they avoid gatherings and social areas? What's the HR policies? What's the office environment going to look like? How can people work when you're half in work and half outside of work? As the CEO of a company, these are all questions that we are answering for my team and my organization. And solutions aren't always easy, or they aren't always clear, but also they're not always consistent for everybody. We may need to have a different view for different people. But with kind of the planning and kind of meaningful employee engagement, I think there's a lot that we can do. We're lucky enough to be a global company, so we've had an opportunity to talk to our colleagues in China and our colleagues in Italy, and do something that we're calling kind of learn from the future, where we're saying, okay, they are 4 weeks, 6 weeks ahead of us. What's happening? What's happening in their world? What are they finding? What are the clients doing? What are their employees worried about? How has it been? So we're taking those learnings, we're taking them into our business, and we're also taking them obviously into our clients' business. Because we work very closely with clients, we worked with them to agree the best ways to return to work with them in our office, and return to work with them in their office. So today's about sharing our thinking and sharing the solutions that we've developed, and sharing the solutions we've also jointly developed with our clients. In this webinar, Michele is going to take you through some of our insights, some of our thinking, and provide some guidance on the way that we're finding that are working. In a moment, I'll hand over to Michele, as I said, who's the Head of Customer Experience at NTT Data, and he'll take you through our structure and around that. After that, we may have some short time to have questions and answers at the end. Please do post your questions. Do click on the link and post questions in the session, and then we will look at those questions at the end. I'll do some question and answer at the end. Thank you very much. To say thank you for coming, thank you for your time, and I'm going to hand over to Michele.
Thank you, Simon, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michele Biron, and I'm the Head of Customer Experience at NTT Data UK, and I'll take you through the content. So what we've done, we develop a framework to capture the key initiatives that organizations like you should undertake to ensure the safety of your employees as they come back to work, to the office, and also prepare for the future of work. The framework is built based on our own experience, as Simon was saying, from looking at what our colleagues around the world are doing in Italy, China, other countries, but most importantly, helping our clients to prepare to welcome their employees back to their offices. The framework is built around 4 pillars, and you'll see in the next slide shortly. The 4 areas are people. So people is the most important area because return to work is about making it safe for employees to get back to the office. This is about understanding the needs, the challenges, the motivation, the desires of your employees, and how you can address them. Ways of working is about ensuring that your employees are connected, engaged, productive in the day-by-day activities as they come back to the office, but also set the foundation for new processes and an operating model. And I'll take you through that, what that means in a few minutes. Workplace is everything that you can do to ensure the safety and minimize the risk of infection for your employees in the office. And lastly, technology is about ensuring that your system, tools and infrastructure are resilient so that your employees can work from wherever they are. But let's explore in more detail what are the key initiatives for each of the focus areas of the framework. Starting with people. So as I mentioned, people is the key pillar of our framework, as the whole initiative is about making it safe for employees to get back to the office. It's about the well-being of your employees, both mental and physical. You need to realize that people are in a different state of mind with regards to return to the office. And Simon has mentioned some of those feelings. Some people are excited. They had enough of working from home, and or simply they can't work from home. They have some impediments of working from home. Some people are hopeful that they will maintain some of the good practices that they have learned over the past 3 months working from home. I'm one of those people. I quite enjoy spending more time and learn that I can work from home and I don't have to be in the office. So I hope that will stay, and there will be a change in the way we work. Some other people are less excited, and because they feel vulnerable, they fear for their health or someone they care about, and they're terrified to get on the public transport. And some other people are resistant because they have dependencies they need to take care of, being children or elderly dependents. In this context, it's crucial that you understand the needs, the expectations of your employees, segment your employees according to their needs, and introduce the appropriate solutions to support them. So what are the key initiatives that you can do in this area? Well, the most important that we find is employee personas and journeys. So gets back to understanding your employees' needs, the fears, and map their experience accordingly. As mentioned before, people are different state, their needs, challenges, fears, desire, motivation, and the same way that you would approach a customer program, where you start from your customer personas and design the experience around them. This is applying the same principles to your employees. So focusing on them and build the experience around them. And by journey, I mean specifically return to work journeys. The day before they return to work, the first day that they come back to work, the next week, the first 30 days. And that is kind of the happy path, but it's also, you should take care of and think what happens if somebody falls sick in the office or on the unfortunate case that the office has to close again. There's another lockdown. The next one, the next initiative is about employee readiness, defining which employees are ready to return to the workplace and at what point, depending, back to what I said earlier, the mental and physical well-being. Are they ready to come back to the office? Do they want to come back? Do they need to come back? So it's about understanding who needs to be in the office and check the readiness, as I said, emotional and rational, to come back. That leads to how do you learn how they feel and what they need. The next initiative is about a voice of the employee program. So a program to establish two-way communication with your employees to a constant feedback on their expectations and reaction to changes that you will do. It's not a one-off initiative you do. You will have to manage the change. And this starts from how they're feeling now and what they want to do. Test their pulse and keep checking, as I mentioned, with regular frequencies at key steps of the journeys. The first that they come back, how do you feel? How did it go? What was the experience in the office? That leads to the next one, that is managing the change and adoption. So workplace, Simon mentioned, won't be the same anymore. So, and there's a lot of change. A lot of processes are changing. There's new tools that are being introduced. Policies are changing on a weekly basis, depending on also what the government is saying. So all this needs to be communicated and managed to ensure that employees understand and they absorb the communication that you're delivering. And the last one that is the last initiative that is worth mentioning in this area is about leadership and management, understanding the impact that these new ways of working have on employee productivity, and developing new leadership skills to manage this. Managers are used to have the team around them, and that's the way they've been working to date, and it will require new skills for them to manage the teams from remote. Moving on to the next pillar, that is the ways of working. This is about ensuring that your employees stay efficient and productive as they come back to the office. What we find is that it's all working well now that we are all in the same situation, working from remote, but how would it work as some of the employees, your colleagues, will move back to the office where the vast majority will still be working from remote, working from home. But ways of working is also about new processes, new operating model, as I mentioned earlier. COVID has proven that processes that traditionally happen face to face can actually be managed in an efficient way, even from remote. And this is opening new possibilities for you. I mentioned the operating model. What I mean by that is think of shoring options. Do you need your team to be in central London? Taking central London as an example, but do you need your office to be in central London? Or, for example, one thing that we are thinking of, would it rather have sense having satellite offices dislocated in the territory, depending on where your employees are? So with this in mind, the key initiatives around ways of working is mentioned the mixed ways of working, this mix of being remote, working remotely, working in the office. It's about defining the processes, what are the right ways of working, so that everybody can be productive and effective. Employee social contract. So this is something that we have introduced with our teams, and is about learning the preferences and setting the rules for your team to better work together. We find that it is already effective in normal situations, but it's particularly indicated for the situation we're currently living. And the rules can be simple rules, things like setting up meetings of 45 minutes rather than the full hour and being back to back for the whole day, having no meetings or no video conferences over lunchtime, and all team agrees that we will have half an hour, 45 minutes. What is that the team agrees of no meetings over lunch? Virtual social events every now and then, to maintain that spirit of team that risks to be lost as we're all working remotely. And this is particularly relevant for any new joiners that might have joined during the lockdown and they haven't even met the team yet. Moving on to collaboration tools, this is about introducing the right collaborations and communication tools for your teams, starting with Microsoft Teams we are on today, or Zoom. We're all dependent on those communication tools, but also other collaboration tools. We have run virtual PI planning sessions, so agile planning sessions with our clients, with 50 plus people joining from remote, and our designers who typically work together have learned to run creative workshops on virtual whiteboards on tools such as Miro. But I mentioned earlier, it's about the day by day. So all I said is about the day by day. There are also the opportunity of what's the new. I'm going to avoid the new normal, but what are the new processes? What is the new operating model? So establishing new processes, the leverage on the hybrid model and the remote working. How will you run the onboarding of new joiners, the development, B2B sales or sales and procurement, processes that are traditionally managed face-to-face. We have proven during lockdown that they can happen from remote. So worth for you considering, is there any changes that you will introduce as a result of that on your traditional ways of working? And that links to the new operating model, that links to shoring option I mentioned earlier. Do you need your team to be in the same location where the office is? And also opens up new opportunities in terms of talent and a pool of talent that you can access, knowing that your employees could potentially work from anywhere in the world. Moving on to workplace, so the third pillar. This is about all the measures that you have to put in place to ensure the physical safety of your employees on the job. From managing a phased return to the office, the shifts or patterns or groups or phases, and the team blue and team green, and clearly communicate who needs to be or who can be in the office. Ensure that there is a system for booking desks and maintain social distance. I come back to desk booking in a second when I go through the initiatives. Ensuring the availability of personal protection equipment, masks, hand sanitizer around the office, stickers, signage on the floor, one-way flows within the office to ensure that social distances. But also tracking occupancies and flow to understand how your space is being used, and this will inform any future planning for your estate. Because I mentioned earlier, do you need all the space that you have today? What we find is, going back to the desk, for example, is that a quick win to accelerate the readiness of your facility is to eliminate hot desks and have your desks booked for the whole day. Most of our clients are starting to return to work with, on average, it's about 10 to 20%, depending on the amount of people in the office, and therefore there shouldn't be a risk of running short of desks if they book for the entire day. That is one of the small things that you can do to accelerate and not overcomplicating the management of desks, because of course they would need to be sanitized and clean if there is a higher turnover during the day. In terms of the initiatives that are around the planet of a workplace, we have workforce management. I mentioned a second ago. It's about managing the phased return and shift patterns for your employees, but also for your contractors or visitors. Desk booking. Desk booking is about enabling that. We see that is most important thing probably for your employees as they come back to the office, is enabling them to book their desk on the days they are allowed in the office in a specific area that has been allocated to their team, for example, or pre-assigned. So booking or pre-assigning the desks. Occupancy management, mentioned earlier, is about monitoring and managing the office occupancy with sensors and space analytics. Thermographic screening. So this is about detecting potential infection through temperature reading surveillance systems. We have a solution that uses cameras that can detect if people have a higher temperature, or according to the policy, if they can detect if people are wearing or not wearing a face mask. So this sounds a bit total recall or sounds a bit futuristic, but we find that is particularly relevant for the psychological safety of your employees, and the fact that there are cameras and knowing that you're tracking and checking the temperature makes them feel safe. And the last initiative I'm going to touch on is about an employee app. So this is particularly relevant if you're planning to keep the app in the long term, because you could think that in few months you might not need it anymore, but you can have an app with use cases that cater for the future of your office, or the future of working, with use cases such as I mentioned, workforce management, social distancing via our FID, corporate contact tracing, so you can enforce a better contact tracing within the office, but also as simple as employee surveys and regular health checks through surveys to mention earlier, through the journey of employees coming back to work, tracking the state. In this area, we partner with Cloud Booking, a leader of workplace management solutions, to accelerate office readiness. And through the web-based portal or app, employees can book or be assigned a desk. Organization can manage zoning, having the marketing area, HR area, IT area, you get the point. Plan for social distancing, enabling or disabling the desks that can be booked, and this gives you the flexibility of scaling up in time. And run reports of occupancy to understand how many people were in the office at a certain moment in time, or have a proxy for contact tracing. For example, auditing who was sitting in a certain area in the unfortunate case that somebody falls sick. Last pillar is technology, and this is about the resilient infrastructure to continue to support your employees that are working from, we mentioned, working from anywhere, working from home, giving access to system, the connectivity, and the infrastructure. We find that this area was particularly critical to ensure the business continuity in the first phase of the pandemic, but it's still relevant now as we come to realize that some of your employees will continue to work from home for quite some time. And for some of them, remote working might be the new way of working. So what you see here are initiatives such as access to systems, so empowering employees with the appropriate tools and infrastructure to work from home, bring your own device, or having a virtual desktop, think of Citrix, to access the application. Security of both the devices in case of bring your own device, or security of sensible data for those employees that are working from home. Remote support, make sure that employees have an ongoing and an appropriate IT support when they have a problem, including picking up and repairing the laptop from home. System resilience is about making sure that the remote workers can access the application with no disruption. And last, cloud consolidation is about starting to plan what is the consolidation of cloud, being platform, infrastructure, and software. And in particular, thinking of software with reference to software, you should consider what are the level of adoption and satisfaction with any of the new tools that you might have introduced during the lockdown, to understand what to keep in the future once things settle, or the free trials won't be free anymore, and you will start to be charged. So this closes the overview of the pillars. And before going back to Simon to see if we can address some of your questions, I would like to summarize the key priorities that we see from our client when it comes to the initiatives that I mentioned. So the first one is Safe Future. So this is about establishing, it's about a design program to understand, I mentioned earlier, the employee feelings, the fears, the concerns, the motivation regarding return to the office, and the activities that you would have in this program. As part of this program are employee personas, mapping the journeys, and establishing the voice of the employee program to understand what's going on and how the employees are feeling. The second initiative is the safe environment. It's about the office and having the right technology to ensure safety. And as I mentioned earlier, we have partners in this area that can help you accelerate delivery of workforce planning, desk booking, and occupancy management. And last is the Safe Change, a change program to establish efficient and productive ways of working and help your employee transition into the new normal. Oh, I said the word. This includes defining the hybrid ways of working, driving initiative of change, adoption of new processes and tools, and but also performance management. That is particularly relevant. I think that there is a balance in the to get to that new future between performance, satisfaction of the employees, and the occupancy in the office, to find the right balance. And yeah, that's it. And I'll hand it back to you, Simon, to see if we have any questions.
Thank you, Michele. No, that was really good. Thank you. Very comprehensive. I hope that was of interest. This is going to be recorded and shared on social media, so for people, if there are any questions we don't get to, then we will obviously answer those as well. Michele, the first question is there a recommended share of employees in terms of getting back to work? You're on mute.
Back online. I would say it's an average. It changes between 10 and 20%. It depends on how many people can be in the building. The bigger the number, the lower the share. Splitting into two teams, as I mentioned, or at least two teams, coming at alternate days. You would have Team Green one day, Team Blue another day, and then one day off for a week for deep cleaning, and then scaling up from that 10-20% every 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. Check what is the status. Are you doing the right things? That makes important the voice of the employee program, and in around 8 to 10 weeks you can get to that 60% capacity. I would say that for the time being become your target occupancy to ensure social distancing.
Okay. The next question is the main driver behind thermal scans actually the psychological welfare of the employees?
Well, again, it depends on how much you trust in the effectiveness of the tool. So surely there is a psychological effect, and but they detect the temperature. It depends on the type of organization and the business that you're in, I guess. In terms of normal offices and knowledge workers, I think is a psychological safety. Yes, I would say that is the priority number one.
Yeah, certainly two of the clients I know have implemented it purely for psychological safety. They've recognised that if somebody does have a temperature, then that's already it could be for many different reasons, and it was that they have put it in, and they are very much using it for that reason. What is the best approach to help people keep using new tools for remote working when they return to physical offices?
You mean people at home, or people?
Yeah. So when I go back into the office, I'll give you. Let me answer whilst you're thinking as well. So I was talking to a CIO of a client yesterday, and he was saying that his teams are not keen to have cameras on their desks because they don't like the idea of having the cameras there as they're working. But what he's done is he's converted a whole bunch of meeting rooms into Teams rooms, or rooms where you make phone calls. He's put cameras in there. So in terms of kind of help from a physical perspective, I think there's also some elements in terms of, certainly when we use Teams, we have a kind of a cameras on etiquette. So there's some elements of kind of the culture and the social norm, as well as some of the physical bit. So any thoughts from you in terms of how to get continue using it?
I believe it's about you have the meeting rooms is an excellent point. If you have depends on the number of people that will be connected from remote and the share of them, but I'm quite confident that a lot of meetings that normally would happen on a whiteboard in a room will continue to happen in a virtual way, even if people are in the office, to ensure that they are let's call it inclusive. And I think that is the etiquette that should be adopted, because otherwise it is the people in the office that needs to consider the people working from home, and we're all more used to do that.
The last question is in terms of, we're overrun slightly, but in terms of, is on personas. We may well have to give a slightly longer explanation online, but on employee personas, there's likely to be a persona of working parent or somebody with underlying health conditions, but what other personas might be considered?
Well, persona is always adapting personas to the specific situation of an organization. But I would say I would certainly consider the employees, I would consider a contractor, I would consider a visitor, and within employees, I would consider the frame of mind, the state of mind, looking at the role. Are they client facing, or are they doing more of a back office work type of job? What's the proximity to the office? How do they get to the office? And by state of mind, that I mentioned a second ago, I go back to the excited, the ones that can't wait to get back to the office, the one that want things to get back to how they were, the ones that are a mixed state. They're happy to come back, but they would continue to work from home a certain time, and the ones that are vulnerable or fearful of coming back to the office, and cater for all of them, and look at what are the journeys, including amongst those journeys, what are the policies and how you would run a meeting if those people are not in the office. Is it via Microsoft Teams? Is a mix of cameras in the meeting room, etc. So yeah.
Fantastic. I'm conscious of time. Thank you, Michele. Thank you for everyone who's listening. There is a couple of questions we haven't got around to answering, but we will answer those online. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that was interesting. Enjoy. Have a great rest of the week and a good weekend, and stay safe. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye.